All right, I want to take you on a trip down memory lane, and I hope I have this right. You're going to let me know if I do have this right, but I believe you're coming up on a work anniversary in December, meaning working in Dallas Fort Worth. When did you start working
Oh,
at WRR?
oh, look at you.
Dallas
Yeah, it'll
Fort
be
Worth.
50 years. Well, it won't quite be. Yes, it's 50 years ago in December that I started working in Dallas Fort Worth, but for a year and a half, I was in Denver. So it hasn't been 50 years straight through, but it was 50 years ago and went by like that.
The early days on WRR, which was 1310 on the AM dial. And I am here to tell you, as a kid growing up here in Irving, I used to listen to the first sports talk show in Dallas radio history, which was on Sunday nights. It was Sportsline Dallas. It was hosted by one Brad Sham on WRR.
Thank you, everybody. I pestered them. I was hired as a news reporter, and I wanted to be in sports, and I just kept pestering them to do sports, and finally they let me do a daily sportscast that was 5 minutes. And every time they let me do something else that I wanted, they would say, "Oh, okay, fine, you can do it, but we're not paying you anything extra." And I had no concept of what even I was only making $600 a month. What could they have paid me that would have been any extra? I just wanted to do it.
For so many years, your Thanksgiving has included a Cowboys game on Thursday afternoon. What is it about? What is Thanksgiving like for Brad Sham each and every year?
Thanksgiving Day is special because the country's not working. Everybody is, whether however many people are around a table this year, everybody is watching the first game, then they're watching the Cowboy game, which is always in the 3:30 Central Time window. And people eat at halftime, they eat after the game, they eat during the game, but they're always watching it, and they're watching it all over the country.
One clunker for the Cowboys was 1989 against the Philadelphia Eagles, known as the Bounty Bowl. What do you remember from the Bounty Bowl?
It turned out later that there had been a bounty that Ryan had allegedly put on Troy Aikman and on Zendejas, the kicker. And the Bounty Bowl is absolutely grist for the Thanksgiving tradition mill.
I remember Jimmy Johnson after that game in his post-game press conference when asked if he talked to Buddy after the game. He said, "I would have talked to Buddy, but he took his big fat rear end into the locker room."
I remember that. Yeah, nobody on the Dallas sideline was happy about that thing. There's no question about it.
All right, fast forward a few years, and in 1993, I was actually spending Thanksgiving Day with my family, my in-laws in Lubbock, and I turned on the TV only to discover, wow, it snowed in Dallas today.
Yeah, that was crazy. And actually, that's of course the game where because of the slush, it wasn't really even snow. We all say it was snow, but it was really just ice and slush and miserable. And of course, everybody remembers that they blocked a field goal, and then Leon Lett, in exuberance, went down to try to cover it up, and the ball bounced off him, and the Dolphins recovered and won. And I saw Jimmy Johnson said the other day that wasn't Leon's fault, that was mine. I shouldn't have had him even in that position. But they won the Super Bowl that year, and the fact that it was the snow was probably the most memorable thing about that.
All right, fast forward the next year, 1994. Cowboys are trailing Brett Favre and the Packers 17-6 at halftime, and then Jason Garrett took the advice of his wife Brill and threw it up high to Alvin Harper, and away the Cowboys go for a 42-31 win.
People kind of forget how competitive Jason Garrett was. He was a quarterback for a long time, and still is competitive. And that game wrote him into Cowboys lore forever because of the score that you mentioned. The Packers were probably a better team, and they, I'm sure, felt like they had the game won at that point. And and Brill had told him, hey, if you get in trouble, throw it up to Alvin. And so he threw it down the field and threw it up to Alvin, and I think he wound up with something like 340 yards passing for the day, and clearly led them back. It's funny that guys like Garrett and Longley for essentially one game each get written into the team's history memory forever, and the games and the people couldn't be more different, nor their contributions. Clint, you can't find Clint Longley now for love nor money, and I haven't tried in a long time, but I know people who have, and he's probably off hunting rattlesnakes somewhere, which is what he liked to do. Jason, we all know, has become a success as a coach, and it's so interesting that two guys so different from each other are kind of remembered in the same way for something that happened on the same day. That's the power of the Thanksgiving game.
I want to go for a little more recent memory. And, I think maybe the best Cowboys quarterback on Thanksgiving Day ever might have been Tony Romo, especially his first 4 Thanksgiving Day games.
Yeah, I think I was looking at this the other day, Bill. I was surprised to see, if I'm not mistaken, that the best winning percentage for a Cowboys quarterback on Thanksgiving, I think, is Danny White. But Tony Romo had, for me, when you say to me Thanksgiving, even before Longley, even before Garrett, when you say Thanksgiving Day to me, the first thing I think of is Tony Romo's 5 touchdowns against Tampa Bay on Thanksgiving. That was an absolute clinic, and it was a great example of Tony's natural showmanship. He had a national stage, and he took every bit of advantage by being totally brilliant that day, and he shredded Tampa Bay, and that game was all about him.
Okay, Brad, as we wrap this up, this Thanksgiving weekend, we talked about you 50 years basically in the market. I mean, especially in this year of COVID, what everyone has gone through the last 8 months or so, what the Cowboys have gone through this past week, as a matter of fact. You must be sitting there just so thankful that you've had this opportunity here for the last half century.
There is not a day that goes by that I am not overflowing with gratitude to have had that opportunity. People ask me what it's like sometimes, and I will always say I had nothing to do with my father's work bringing him to Dallas while I was in the Army in the summer of 1970. He could have gone to Boise. They might have moved him to Portland, Maine, and I wouldn't be sitting here today, because everything ensued from that. And you and I are both people of faith. I tend to believe that there are really not all that many accidents, but it didn't have to be this way. I don't think it was preordained that I be going 40 plus years doing this job. And I am eternally grateful for every single game more than the last one, for every year more than the last one. And I think that happens when you get to the stage of life that you know that there are more back there than there are out there. But fortunately, I'm so full of enthusiasm and frankly passion for what I have the great opportunity to do, that I just want to keep doing it for as long as I'm physically healthy and until they fire me.